In this video, we'll prepare the airplane for printing. Like I said in the previous tutorial, it's important that you hit 3, select all the geometry of the airplane and hit 3 on your keyboard so that it goes to smooth mode. Okay, so let's suppose I want to print the fuselage. I will go to create and the measure tools and distance tool to make sure that this is the size I want to print. Okay, so it's important that you print it on the size you want to print it. Therefore, this tool is what's going on with the, I think that, oops, what is this? The fuselage is inside 2 groups, so I didn't notice this when we were organizing the outliner in the previous video. So let's take it out of these 2 groups and delete these 2 groups that are doing nothing. So I used middle mouse button on my to move it. Okay, so let's isolate the fuselage. And now I'm using the tool to measure, and this gives me a value of 4.688445. So what does that mean? That means it probably is centimeters, but let me check. So let's go to settings, preferences, and now on settings, yeah, we have the linear to centimeters. So that means the fuselage, you can choose whatever you want. I like to have it on centimeters. So this means that this fuselage is less than 5 centimeters. So it's a bit small, but well, if you want a small airplane, then it's good. Let's bring the rest back and let's see what's going on with this landing gear. Let me go to shading and use default material. Okay. Back to normal. Same here. Something happened, I don't know. 3D softwares are like that. So it's not show, it's sorry. It's shading and use default material. Okay. So now I don't need these locators and this distance dimension. So this was used just to measure the fuselage. And so let's suppose I want to, something I have to tell you is you can scale your airplane here if you want to make it bigger, or you can scale it on the software of your 3D printer. Usually all the softwares have that feature that you can scale the object you want to print on the software of the printer. Let's isolate select again the fuselage and let's go to the measure tool again and see now it's bigger, so it's about 10 centimeters now. So that means I can get rid of these locators again. I don't need it anymore. So that means now I have a bigger airplane and the fuselage is about 10 centimeters. Let me just correct this again on this view. So selecting both and go to shading, use default material. Okay. Now back to perspective. So let's say I want to print the fuselage first. Okay, remember our airplane is, oops, I selected the wing accidentally. Okay, I want the fuselage first. Remember, we'll not print the whole airplane since we have it on separate parts. So let's go to export selection. And here we'll try to find the STL is not here. Okay, that's a good thing. It's not here, so I'll let you know how to put it here. because you have to choose the type of file that you want to export. Okay, let's cancel and let's go to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and let's go down there to Plugin Manager. And here I have to find the plugin that I need, and that one is the STL. It has to be somewhere, so it's an STL plugin. Couldn't find it. Let's go back here. Oh yeah, there it is, STL translator. So I'm selecting loaded and auto load so that it loads next time I'm starting Maya. And now we can do it again. So let's go to export selection, and on export selection I'm gonna select the STL file, type of file I mean. Where did it go? It has to be here, definitely. So it's not, oh, yeah, it's down here. So STL export, and now I'm gonna name my file, and this is not a file that belongs to the modeling anymore. So I will probably do the better thing to do is create another folder, and that is inside my scenes folder, and this folder is gonna call, I will call it exports. Now and I'm gonna put all the exports I do in there. So this is, usually I call it 02 so that I know this is not a modeling file. 02 fuselage for printing. Let's export selection. Okay. So let's suppose now we want to print the left wing. And I'm gonna use another type of file. So let's go to export selection, and this time I will export it as an OBJ. So OBJ is for object, and I will call it 02 since this is a printing file. Left wing for printing, and it's inside my folders, in my exports folder. Let's export selection, and so now we have an STL file and we have an OBJ file, and I will show you it's exactly the same. I mean, it's similar, not the same, but similar. So I will hide the airplane, the whole airplane, and I'm gonna import the files that we just created, the STL file and the OBJ file. The OBJ file usually, so this is the OBJ, I just opened it, just import it. The OBJ file usually, as you can see, this is for printing. So I was saying let's import the other one, the STL. So I'm selecting the STL and do import, and there it is. The STL files do not use quads, but they use triangles, as you can see. I was saying that the OBJ file is usually, it comes together with an MTL file. MTL is for texturing. We don't have textures, so don't worry about it. You only need the OBJ file to print. Okay, so this is the STL file, like you can see here, fuselage for printing. And now let's bring the airplane back, and we are ready for some printing.